Welcome back to MOMnation Unscripted. Now, a word from our sponsor.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Gilliam, Senior Mortgage Banker with Waterstone Mortgage. If you're looking to buy a new home or even refinance a current one, I'm able to help you find the best program and interest rate that fits your specific needs. You could call me anytime directly at phone number 480-635-3035 if you have any mortgage questions or if you're ready to get pre-approved for a new home purchase. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we are back with another episode of MOMnation Unscripted. We are in season 4. I cannot believe it. Episode 3 of season 4 already, because time flies when you're having fun. Speaking of that, Jeni and Cheri, hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm good. Can you believe it's past Halloween? We're in November already. It's crazy. It's basically Christmas now. So
yeah. Well, it totally... What's that?
Christmas trees are everywhere, and I saw your 20-foot things at the store.
Yeah, well, I was totally going to say, well, what were we doing? I don't even know why we were at the at-home store. It wasn't for Christmas deco, but it might be now, next time I go, since I saw it all. But we were there. We were getting cushions for the backyard. We had anyway, craziness happened. We needed new cushions in our patio furniture. And so I was over at the at-home store, and it was Halloween day, and I walk in and there's maybe a small rack of Halloween stuff, like small. Everything else is Christmas, like rows and rows and rows and rows of inflatables that go up to, Kelly, there were 20-foot tall snowmen and toy soldiers. I'm thinking to myself, this is freaking terrifying. Like
it was for Halloween.
Yeah. To scare people. I'm thinking to myself, like, this toy soldier could literally peek in my son's bedroom window at night, you know? But anyways.
Soon sweeps it up.
Right? And then what? And then where will we be? I don't know. So, Cheri, how's everything over there in your world? Jeni and I spent a little time together this weekend, but we missed you.
I know. I always get jealous when I hear those stories because I wish I could be there with you guys too. We have just been on the go nonstop. Our friend is moving in 6 days, so we've been helping her.
Oh.
And yeah, military life, like when your friend's family is no longer around, that means your family and you help them. So
right. Well, that's awesome. And I'm sure they're very, very grateful for your help.
Yeah. Wow.
Halloween was good?
Halloween was really good. We got to go around. The baby loved it. The older kids loved it. And it was nice to be out without masks, walking in the air.
In the air. Socially distanced, of course. I had a little ghost for Halloween, so he had a mask on because, you know, it's just like basically a sheet over his face. So I was like, cool, bye. Have at it. But yeah, it was perfect. It was really cute. Jeni and I did Halloween together. It was really cute to see a lot of the neighbors that did really cool things. Like they would hang the candy from the tree and you'd just go by and, you know, pick one bag off the tree. Or one of them had like this big long tube and it just like, they started at the top and they shot it in the candy bag. It was really cute.
Oh my gosh, that's
just
awesome.
Creative.
yeah, it was neat to see all the creative ways that the houses were handing out candy, and also to see so many houses participating and so many kids out. I was really had no idea what to expect. So it was comforting that our kids weren't disappointed going out and having nobody handing out candy, but they were creative and still safe in their ways of doing it. So it was fun.
Yeah, we had the same thing where people would had tongs, like long tongs for the grill, and they would just toss it out and the kids were laughing. So it was really great. And it was so nice to see so many kids out smiling, laughing, having a good time, because this year's just been really rough on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So Kelly, we've had Kelly on before. Welcome, Kelly Liston with Oh Lardy. How are you?
Well, thank you. I am doing well. I'm glad to be here. I love chatting with you guys.
Awesome. Well, we love having you. And I have to ask you, since we're on this discussion. So Kelly is our natural mama extraordinaire, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I have to ask. So I know Kelly has some kids. So during Halloween time, how do you handle the whole candy thing? You just let them have at it,
Yep.
or what do you do?
Yep, I'll let them have at it. We follow a 80. We try to do our best on like our 80-20, like what we purchase for our home and what we the food that we eat in our home is completely under our control. But I have given up on the stress of the holidays as far as like candy and stuff like that, because it's not every day.
Right.
And so they went trick-or-treating. They pretty much have eaten all of their candy. It's disgusting. But it gives us an opportunity for conversation, because when you eat all of your candy and you don't feel good, and
Right.
we were able to talk about, oh, how did you sleep last night? And I'm noticing that you're not really focusing on your work because we have the kids home for school. You're having a hard time focusing. I'm noticing you're not eating any food because you're not hungry. And so we're able to have conversations about that and just bring awareness to what we eat makes us feel. So I just let them go for it. And I take pieces because I like almond joys, and then we move on.
Well, you have to be part of the why don't I feel well discussion too. So you have to have your own samples, of course.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
You got to be a good player. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I totally get that. And, at my house, we too do our best to be as natural as possible, have as little chemicals and that kind of thing as possible. But honestly, when it's Christmas time, when it's Halloween time, when it's Valentine's, I let him do the same. I let my son, he have at it. Like, it isn't every day. It's not even every month, to be honest. And, I realize that it's probably not the greatest thing, but what's one day going to do where, the stress and the hurt feelings when you're a little kid, especially from not being able to partake in that stuff, like what is that doing to them instead? You know what I mean? I kind of feel like that's worse.
Mm-hmm. We also talk about too, in our conversations about how because when we talk about how it's affecting their sleep and how it's affecting their mood and how it's affecting how their body feels, we also talk about, and they won't believe me until like next week when this happens, is that it also affects our immune systems. Our immune systems, sugar completely suppresses our immune system. I think it's like a teaspoon of sugar will suppress your immune system for 6 hours. And so think about how much candy you have, and then throw that out there. I mean, next week, we may be dealing with colds and viruses just because our immune system just wasn't there. It's there, but it was like, while the sugar is in the picture. So they don't believe me, but on the flip side, we've been boosting our vitamin C, our zinc, our just what we do for immune support. And, they're like, ugh, I'm like, trust me, it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, no kidding. Huge point right there. Huge point. Kelly, if some of our listeners haven't met you before or didn't catch the show that we did last season with you, can you just kind of get us up to speed? Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you do what you do.
Yes. So my name is Kelly. And I live here in Arizona, and I have a blog website called ohlardy.com that I run with a friend of mine. And we originally started it to educate people on real food. And I'm sorry, my phone is making so much noise. And transitioning to traditional foods and how to do that. And we wanted to show how easy it was. And real food is basically food that nature provides. It's when you look at your labels, it's all ingredients that you know what they are. All ingredients you can pronounce. An egg. I think is real food. So showing people how to transition to that, swap out products for real products, and then just how that nourishes our bodies. And we really focused on the food portion, teaching people how to ferment, how to make bone broth at home. I have chickens, so we talk about that. And then we started, once we kind of were on on the roll with that, we're like, it's also it's not just what we're putting in our body, but it's also what we put on our bodies too. And so we started peeling back the layer of that onion and discovering what was in the products that we were using and diving deeper into that. And that's when we brought Young Living on board as an easy button, learning more about how essential oils can support our bodies. I like to call Young Living an easy button because they're a completely transparent company that we can trust, that if I don't want to make my own laundry detergent, I can buy it from them. If I don't want to, if I don't want to make my own bar soap, I can buy it from them. And so our education really just it was really focusing on not only detoxing the food that we're eating, because we live in a toxic world. We cannot escape that. But we do have the power to vote with our dollar. And our mission is to empower people to take their health into their own hands and vote with their dollar, choose products and foods that are actually nourishing and life-giving versus not. So that's a little bit about me and what we do.
I love it. I can imagine how you can kind of go down the rabbit hole with all of that stuff too. And then what you start discovering just uncovers other things. And then it can get all like Aaron Brockovich, right?
Yeah, it's a lot easier these days, I will say. There's so many tools available to help you now. Back when we were doing it, we were weird. Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
It was my friends. My friends and family probably still think I'm weird, but I think it's more acceptable now because I'm not the only weird one anymore.
Right? We're all weird now.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, and this may be like a kind of a duh question, but we understand how putting things into your body has an effect, and putting chemicals and things that aren't real food and all of that. Okay. I've got you there. But what about why do what I put on it or what is in my home, how does that affect me and why? Again, I know that's kind of maybe a duh question, but I'm curious in your response to that.
So there's really no such thing as a dumb question. So that I love questions. So the number one way, when we talk about what we're putting on our body, we're putting it on our skin. Our skin is our largest organ. And so whatever is on our skin, literally anything that touches our skin is in our bloodstream. And that affects our organs, our hormones, are literally the whole show here. So what we're putting, I don't have it. Let's pretend this is lotion. I'm reading the ingredients here of lotion, and whatever is in the ingredients is going to be going into my body. So what does that do? What effects do those things have? And the biggest offender is our endocrine system. And our endocrine system is responsible for so many things in our body, hormones, but we have many, many hormones that have so many different functions. And so it's besides our skin and something going in our skin. Most of us walk around barefoot on our floors. One of the aha moments I had early on was, what am I cleaning my floors with? Are they clean? Clean. And I'm walking on it now. So I wanted to know, okay, well, whatever I'm cleaning my floors with is going into my body too, because my feet are touching them. And then it's also what we're breathing into our bodies. And so I like to say, the biggest thing you can look for in your home is fragrance. Fragrance is and you will learn this in just any research that you're doing. Fragrance is a giant loophole or the term fragrance for these companies to put really whatever they want in their products, because it's not regulated. You can have up to 300 chemicals under the term fragrance because it's proprietary information. It is their brand secret. And so most of the time, things like formaldehyde are present. We all know that formaldehyde is a known carcinogen. But those are just, if you can, the term fragrance literally can have hundreds of stuff in there. So where does that come from? What is fragrant in our home? Candles. Candles are fragrant in our home. Air fresheners. Anything that smells. So even your body lotion, if you smell it, if you look on the label and it says fragrance, that's easy. That's an easy, okay, I know this isn't good for me because I don't know what's in it. Laundry stuff like fabric softener, those little dryer sheets, whatever's in your soap, your laundry soap too. That is in our clothes and it's on our skin. So it's going into our skin, it's going into our body. So that's how things get in. It's really primarily through skin and mostly skin and breathing it in.
I have a question for you.
Scented or unscented products. Sorry, my internet is in and out. If we buy the unscented products, is that safe or is fake sense of security for us?
Unscented is a great way to start. And it is perfect. I buy when I can't, if something's out of stock, like recently, the soap that I like to get from Young Living was out of stock, or my laundry detergent. And so I had to buy a laundry detergent. And that's what I look for. I look for unscented. So we really do the best we can with what we have. There is an amazing tool to use, and you can download it on your phone, and it's called Think Dirty. And Think Dirty, let me see if I might pull it up. If you're not familiar with Think Dirty, it is a way to evaluate the products that are in your home, as well as the products that are on the shelf, because it has a little scan guy here. So you can scan the barcode, and then it's going to tell you, let me just see if I can pick something, or you can search it. So Tide unscented search. Let me see what it gets me. Well, let's just look at ultra concentrated Tide original. Let's just click that. So it gives you a score of 8. 8, or I've never seen anything over, it's usually 0 to 10, but I always just see 9s as the highest and 0s. And it'll tell you why. It'll tell you why it got this rating. And it says perfume. So you can click on perfume and it'll tell you name, fragrance, and it'll tell you also known as, and then it'll give you health impacts. It'll explain why. But then what I love about this tool is you can, I lost it. You can pick something and look at it. It'll give you a rating and you get to decide, okay, it's a 3. Let me see why. Why is it rated a 3? I can live with that or not. And then you can go, you're like, I only want 0s. And then you can go on the search for 0s. But it gives you a tool so you don't have to do a lot of the legwork. Another website that is amazing as well is EvoAZ.org. And EvoAZ.org has Skin Deep. Skin Deep is a similar type of tool where you can type in your product and it'll give you kind of a breakdown of the ingredients. But I also like it, EvoAZ.org and Skin Deep, because you can type in an ingredient. So you're like, I don't know what that is. So let me type in an ingredient and it'll tell you if it's unregulated, if it's never been tested in humans or animals. It'll tell you everything you need to know about that particular ingredient. So those Think Dirty and EvoAZ.org are great tools to start. I mean, Think Dirty, you can just go around your house and start scanning stuff. And then you can make a priority list. Okay, well, what are my big offenders? What do I need to do first? And then replace and find better options. And you can search Think Dirty as well, or just go, you can go on, you can search the Think Dirty shampoo and find 0s. It'll give you anything that's ever been evaluated or scored on their website. And then you can shop from there.
I love that. Cheri, thank you, by the way, Kelly, for giving a couple of the app and the ewg.org. I'm actually going to put that in the show notes for everybody. So I feverishly wrote that down. But before I get into another question, Cheri, did you have a question?
I was just going to ask, my spouse is a mechanic and gets greasy and gross, and those uniforms smell. So I know this is terrible, but I really love the smell of bleach or like that. I know it's clean. So how do you transition from that mindset of bleach is clean, but I know it's awful, to cleaning with something else, but still knowing and feeling like I know this is clean?
So one of the biggest aha moments I had, that was a great question, was learning and understanding that clean does not have a smell. So if something has a smell, it's not clean. And it is a mindset. It's an excellent point, because it is something that we have to adapt or adopt into our just what we believe. And so understanding that clean doesn't have a smell, it does not supposed to smell like anything, is a good first step. For those types of like my husband was in the Navy, and his poopy suit he saved because he uses it to change the oil in our car and do like mechanic work, and it smells like the oil that he used and stuff like that. So what I do every once in a while is, have you ever heard of stripping laundry?
Yeah, I cloth diaper, so I do.
Just Google it. It's kind of nasty because sometimes it's like the water looks totally gross, but it's amazing. It's amazing for gym clothes, and it's amazing for stinky clothes, like things that are just really in there. And stripping laundry involves, I personally used the Thieves laundry detergent, the Thieves household cleaner, both non-toxic cleaners, baking soda and borax, and you let it soak, and then or it's clean, or you wash it and dry it, and then put it in the stripping, and then you wash it and dry it again. And you can do that several times, but I've only had to do it once, and I mean, it completely saved my gym clothes. Which and then and it takes the oily, like that smell, the mechanic smell. It's a very unique smell. Like when he would come home he was on submarines, and when he would come home, all his clothes smelled like that.
I know that exact smell that you're talking about. So
smelled like that.
Okay, well that's good, because I strip my daughter's diapers. I cloth diapers, so I do that occasionally. So that makes sense.
Throw it in there. Yeah, it actually really helps. But as the cleaning, one thing that I've had a big challenge with is any clothes because when you're transitioning to getting rid of toxins, and say you're like I used to be a hardcore Downy and Bounce user, because that's how I was raised. I didn't know, but when you know better, you do better. And fabric softener, which is in both, that scent is almost impossible to get out of your clothes. Washing, drying, it does not come out. It is. And thinking about that, it's like, well, okay, so if it's sticking to my clothes, it's sticking to my skin, what is it sticking to my insides? Like, ugh. So stripping that and then drying in the sun has been, and sometimes it takes a couple times, because my mom is still a big Downy user. I no matter how many times I tell her, like, this is terrible for you. She will sometimes wash my kids' clothes when they stay at her house, and I'm like, don't wash them anymore, please. And so we have to, and I can't wash them with other clothes, because that stuff will get on the other clothes and stick to those clothes. So I've found that stripping and hanging in the sun and like lots of baking soda has been like, and I've had to do it a couple times if I'm really like dedicated to getting it out. But that's just you might find like, you wash your clothes, you're like, wait a minute, it still smells like it. And then you wash them again, you're like, wait a minute, this is hard. it is hard. It's hard to get it out. And so stripping, I've had the most success with when you're switching over. You might see that.
That's awesome. That was a great question. And I know a lot of moms are probably had that same question. And so the same holds true then, I'm guessing, for like moms that are expecting babies or moms with young children, like how to effectively sanitize, because you're constantly wanting to, especially little babies. How do you effectively do that without using those harsh chemicals?
So that I cloth diapered my babies as well, and I never stripped them. I felt like I didn't have to, but I was a baking soda vinegar. That was my my washing routine. Was they would sit and soak in the like overnight, and then I would do gosh, it's been so long. It's been so long since they've been in cloth diapers, but I never used a bleach on them. I mean, back then I was using Tide, and I don't even think, because you're not supposed to use dryer sheets with anything absorbable, so I never used them with that. But I was a baking soda vinegar, and I had great success with that. So there's ways. I mean, now I think back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I washed your sheets and towels and all of this stuff with Downy, and I mean, it's a bless and release type of thing. Like I didn't know, and now I do, and I do better. But I used to have a lot of guilt over that, and then finally I was like, why? It's in the past. I can't change it, but I can share what I've learned. So that's what I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's definitely a lot of value. And we're all human, when we discover something to, share it with the people that we love. And I think that's a great thing. So I totally appreciate that. So back to the Think Dirty app and kind of learning more about what's going on in our households and what we're putting on our body. What's an easy way to get started? I mean, it seems so overwhelming if you sit and you look around and you're like, well, damn, I got the Downy and I'm using the bleach, and who knows what's underneath my sink right now? Like, I don't even want to open it. Mm-hmm. How did Kelly start? Or was it just like did you just clean your whole entire house out of everything?
So I'm like an all or nothing. Like, once I learned, I was like, oh, and then I had like nothing in my house. I was like, and now I need to figure out, I did that with food too. I'm like, we had no food. And I was like, I got to go shopping, but I need to figure out what I have to get or what I'm going to have to make. So that's actually one of the things that that's a great question. And I get that question a lot. Like, what's one thing I can do today to make my home a safer place? It's actually, I'm building a whole product around detoxing your home in one day, and where it makes it simple, and because it does seem overwhelming. You're like, well, I've got cleaning stuff, I've got stuff I wash my hair with, I've got toothpaste, and I don't know, what do I do? It's overwhelming. And so one thing I tell people that you can do today, which is so easy, and you don't even need to find a replacement, is throw away your Downy, your fabric softener, and your bounce dryer sheets. You don't need them. You don't need them. There's not even a replacement. Well, dryer balls. I will say dryer balls in your dryer I love those. And it's a great.
I have them and love them.
I love them. Yes. You can add essential oils to them. You can change it up. I love dryer balls, but as far as like Downy in your wash, you don't need it at all. I was convinced I did. The little snuggly bear told me that I needed it in my laundry. And so that's one thing you can do that is super easy. Now, if you're like already like, oh, I don't use that stuff anyway. There are people that don't use that stuff anyway. Okay. Then start with fragrance. What are the smelly things in your home? People, I find that I get the biggest like gut reaction when I was like, throw away your candles. And they're like, oh, my pumpkin spice. No, I love those. And I was a candle person. I had candles for like every season. I would open my house and I loved them. But they are full of fragrance and paraffin and petroleum and just stuff we just don't want in our lungs. And so there's other options for that, but that's easy. You can wait to replace candles with something, but fragrance, it's easy to go and just start the discovery process through fragrance, and because it's on a label. If there's fragrance in it of any kind, it'll say fragrance on the label. And then you can start like, okay, well, now let me look at my Think Dirty and see of these things, what I'm going to replace them with. And then you go from there. But those are two simple things you can do. And it's just walking around. If you have those Glade plugins, pull them out, throw them away. If you have Febreze, throw it away. Anything that creates like an air fragrance in your home, those are easy to get rid of too. And kind of sad, but it's okay.
Okay, so we're 2020. You may have heard that there's a virus going around. You may have heard about this.
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I hate to be the one to break this to you. So I noticed in the store, the bleach section is cleaned out. Everyone is cleaning their homes with bleach. What is a safe alternative is question one. And to follow up with that, for my kids that are in school and exposed to all of that bleach, is there a way to detox their systems?
I feel like that's a whole other call. Detoxing our systems. Okay.
Yeah.
So my favorite bleach alternative is Young Living's Thieves Household Cleaner. And it is completely effective at killing everything. It is just as good as bleach. And as far as like its ability to deal with, molds and bacteria and all of that stuff. There's tons of like, you can go research these household cleaner experiments people have done like in Petri dishes, growing stuff to see how effective it is. There's lots of information on it. And it comes concentrated. Actually, hold on. I might have some right here. Oh, I do. It comes actually in a bigger bottle, but it comes in this size bottle. And what I love about it, because it's super concentrated, is you just need a capful in a spray bottle like that you can get from the dollar store, or an empty vinegar bottle that you've put a spray thing on. And it works out to be about like the regular dilution, less than $1 a bottle. And this stuff lasts forever. But I clean my whole house with it. I clean floors, I clean counters, I clean toilets, I clean showers, glass. It does everything. So I love it because it's cheap and super effective. So that's one thing. And then as far as being exposed to chemicals in the environment, and what we're touching and things like that, that's a bigger question. But simple things that we can do to get these things out. Our environment is toxic. It just the air outside, like it sounds like doom and gloom, but it's just a reality. It just is. It's not something we necessarily think about, but our bodies weren't really made to detox on this level. So our livers can be a little overtaxed and struggle with some of that. And so you can look into simple things to keep like your lymph fluid flowing and just the drainage. It's really, you can do some research on drainage, on body drainage and draining, and how to keep those pathways open. But jumping, like your kids, if you have a trampoline, jumping on the trampoline helps keep that lymph flowing. Dry brushing, you can do some dry brushing. I do it. I don't really do it on my kids so much, but they're moving. As long as you have movement, running, playing, like kids are doing these things. So I think it's more adults that kind of run into drainage issues, just because we're sitting a lot, and it's just not moving really well. But dry brushing, Epsom salt baths are amazing for getting toxins out. If you have a sauna, or if you can go and sit in a sauna, sweating is how we get all of these toxins out. So our body has ways to detox that, and to detox itself. So supporting those, our kids are, come on, dude, let's go sit in the sauna for 30 minutes. Be like, what am I going to do in there? It's boring, right? So adults, I think, have a little bit of an easier time with that. But if they're out running and playing and sweating, that's all good. So, but some kids, little kids, will sit in an Epsom salt bath. They don't even know it's an Epsom salt bath. They're just taking a bath. And Epsom salts are another amazing way to help detox through the skin, because that's the biggest way we can detox and make sure they're pooping, because that's how we do it as well. So it's a big topic. That is a big topic that that could have another. And there's experts that know more about that than I do. But just those couple simple things like jumping, even if you're jumping rope, moving around gets that lymph moving, and then getting it out through a bath and sweating, which can happen through playing and exercise. Not the bath, but the sweating. That helps,
So,
I hope.
No, that was perfect. So I know that, how do I want to say this? What ways do chemicals and all that junk in our home affect us aside from death? Like, I know, you could die from mixing these things. Like, some people don't know that. What is it?
Oh, I know.
Pneumonia or something like that. If you mix them, that's bad. What is it? It's bleach and something.
Most people aren't, mixing stuff in homes. Do you remember? I remember when I was little, that all of my mom's, like, cleaners had like the little like skeleton with like the crossbones over the face. Do you remember those? And my mom be like, if it has a sticker, don't touch it. Hold on. I actually have something. I got to find it. Where is that? Here it is. Okay, so some things that can, it's like side effects of chemicals, was your question. I mentioned disturbing hormone function. A lot of chemicals that are used in products like BHA and BHT, coal tar dyes, phthalates, parabens, what else? Fragrance and petroleum and sodium, SLS. You'll see it's in soaps. It might be labeled SLS or sodium lauryl sulfate. Those are all known carcinogens. And so we know that carcinogens can cause cancer, may cause cancer. So there's increased risk of that. Allergies, asthma, a negative impact on fertility. A lot of these chemicals haven't been tested on people. And so damage to I have a little bit more about that in a second. Damage to our kidneys, neurological function, so ADHD, just impair there, or impairing your neurological function. I know that there's been studies done on, and this is in the Stink movie, which we can talk about in a second. It's on Netflix, real quick. Stink, if you haven't seen it, it's called Stink the movie. You can stream it on Netflix. You can stream it on their website, I think, too. But I know that tests were done on umbilical cords of babies for, I think, around 300 chemicals, and they found over 200 chemicals present in the umbilical cords of babies. So babies are being born with toxicity in their bodies already. I mean, this is just from, eating foods and, putting lotions. The mom's just putting lotions on her bodies. She doesn't know any better. My mom always said, if it's sold at the store, it has to be safe. And it's not. And I'm like, oh no, I have a lot of work to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. And so that's where the empowered consumer can discriminate between what is okay that they're allowing, what is okay and what is not, and then being able to vote with their dollar. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where we can't trust the food that is being grown and the products that are being sold to us. It shouldn't be that way. We should automatically want to produce a product that will inspire vitality in our population in our communities. But it's just not that way. And so having the knowledge and the tools to figure out what you're allowing and what you're not going to allow is going to be huge. And it's going to be, as people become more empowered and more educated, it's going to change the way, I mean, I've seen it just over these past 12 years of companies, especially in food. Now you see not genetically modified on the label. Well, it's not required for companies to put that on there. But companies are realizing that their consumers want products that are not genetically modified. And so that's happening. And so as more people are doing this, voting with their dollar, no one's buying Downy anymore. The producers of that are going to have to figure out a way to make it safe enough for them to buy it again. And that can be quick, depending on how fast that message is spread, or it can take years. But in the meantime, or it takes legislation, but I'm not going to rely on the government to decide what is safe for me or not. I have the education, and I am empowered, and I have the tools to figure that out. And that's what I empower people to do. And I mean, I mentioned we talk about stink. I'm just going to keep on rolling here. That is a great, I always say every human should watch Food Inc. on Netflix and Stink. And because the story is this dad lost his wife to breast cancer. And at Christmas time, he had gotten a pair of pajamas for his kids, and they had fragrance on them. And he was like, why are my kids' jammies have fragrance? And so he started just asking questions and calling the company and asking, and he discovered just a lot more about the fragrance industry and the chemical industry. And it's a great quick way to learn about this topic, and then kind of start you on your journey towards a non-toxic, the best we can. We really only can do the best we can. I mean, we can't control everything, and we all don't want to live inside forever, right? We want to go outside. So, and then being able to take care of our bodies.
I think I lost you there, Kel. Can you hear me now?
Start that, they plant the seed, and then just start the awareness.
Sorry, I think you froze up a little bit in between there. We heard the tail end of it. Yeah, you finished up the thought, so it was perfect. But you might have heard me talking to you in the middle of it. So I apologize for that. But thank you. And so again, that actually was another question that I had. So real quick, Stink is on Netflix. Food Inc. is the other one that you had suggested, and that's also on Netflix, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any other documentaries that are, even old ones that you think are relevant now that our audience can tap into to get more information on this?
Well, there's more food related ones. Like Fed Up is about the sugar industry. There's the, what was the McDonald's one where he ate only McDonald's?
Super Size Me.
Super Size Me. Yeah, that was a good one. But as far as like the chemical industry and the products that we're using, I haven't seen anything other than Stink. They might exist. And if people can share in the comments if they're like, oh, I saw blah, 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 this would be great. But for now, I like to keep it simple for people too. Because like a lot of people don't have the time to sit down. I always say, like, watch with your family. This is educational. Like, make it a family night, sit down, pop some popcorn, watch Stink. Because people are watching TV in the evenings sometimes, usually. So add that to your list. And we're actually having an event. So you can also, you can join us in our community and our roundtable on November 22nd at 5 p.m. on Zoom. So I will be streaming it, and then y'all be watching it, and then we're gonna have a discussion about it and ask questions and then finish it up. But it's a great place to start and plant those seeds and start that journey.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Cheri, did you have a few things that you wanted to ask?
Well, Kelly's awesome. And she kind of went into one of the ones that I had. You know, you had mentioned 12 years. You've been doing this for a while. You've done your research. And so that seems like a really long time for changes to come about with regard to companies, right? So I was going to ask you, how long do you honestly think it's going to take now that people really are spreading the word? I think that just being a mom, I think that people are more conscious about it. Like I have a 14-year-old and a 2-year-old. I didn't think that I would ever cloth diaper 14 years ago as a 20-year-old. Like, no, that wouldn't have happened. And so maybe it's just because I'm old now and thinking about these things. But I feel like our society is picking this up more and they are more aware. So now that it's, you know, got some steam behind it, how much longer do you think it's going to take? And I know maybe you don't have an exact answer, but for companies to actually care enough about consumers and where they're putting that voting dollar to make bigger changes and to actually push that.
That's a great question. And you're right, it is picking up steam, and I'm hoping that it has that snowball like effect where as it's rolling, I mean, it's been rolling up the mountain and now we're like tipping it over to the other side and it's going to be getting bigger and bigger. Because while we all think of, if we go to the grocery store, it's a lot of big companies that are selling their products there. Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. I think where the change is actually coming from is small companies. And small companies are providing the service that these big companies just aren't. And I think that I think of like the whole like microbrew industry and how when that was kind of coming about, these huge beer companies were losing profit share to these little companies that were providing a better product. And so now these big companies are buying up the smaller microbrews because they were taking their share. And so I think that kind of has happened, but unfortunately what I think that with as far as products and food goes, like General Mills bought Annie's Organic. Well, now I'm like, I'm not sure I really want to buy Annie's Organic anymore because now it's under the General Mills mission, which it was different. So I think, I think it was General Mills that bought them. I could be wrong. But a big company bought up Annie's Organic and now it's under that big umbrella. But it happens. I mean, McDonald's bought Starbucks because they were taking their share of the coffee. And so did you not know McDonald's owns Starbucks?
I had no idea. You've taught me a lot today already, but that was a big one. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Almost positive. I want to fact check,
Okay.
But I remember hearing that. Let's just fact check that really quick.
I feel like my whole life has just changed.
Scholarship. They also own Chipotle too.
What?
Yeah.
Are you just like Googling this stuff?
I'm actually confirming the Starbucks one. 5 companies. Let's see. A list of companies owned by McDonald's. Okay, so maybe it wasn't Starbucks. No, Starbucks got bought by someone. They do own Chipotle, Boston Market, Krispy Kreme.
No way.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it wasn't Starbucks. I swear I thought, okay, so there's some, oh, here it is. Starbucks each have their own. No, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they haven't bought. I thought they were purchased by something. So, well, they do own Chipotle. I do know that.
Well, right. But to speak to your point, like that happens all the time in all sorts of different industries. Mm-hmm. The larger one that's like, oh, the little guy's taking away from me. I'm gonna go buy it. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's happening. This change, to answer your question, Cheri, I feel like it definitely is picking up steam. And I'm hopeful that within the next 5 years that there's even a bigger shift towards just awareness. And will these big companies like Procter and Gamble go out of business? No, but they will pivot. And that's what we want them to do. I don't want these big companies necessarily to go away, but I do want them to be transparent with what they're creating and what they're selling to their customers. And the transparency is what the small companies are offering. And so finding these companies that are not afraid to tell you what is in their product, and then purchasing from them and then sharing what you like. I mean, all of us tell people, I read this awesome book. You got to read it. I went to this awesome restaurant. You got to go to it. I found this awesome deodorant. Try it. If you're looking for a natural deodorant, like if you're looking for a better shampoo, I really like this one. So that's happening because people ask me, like, what do you use? What do you like? And so people are looking, and it is overwhelming. Where do you look? Like I said, there are a lot more options. Like when I started I was making stuff like the deodorant we were talking about earlier. Like I didn't have an option that worked that I could buy. So I made it, and I still make it because it's the best deodorant I've ever used. But there's options now that actually work that, like, my kids are like, I don't like rubbing my pits with this stuff. And so I'm like, all right, so I'll buy you one that works. So those companies exist. And I believe that the snowball is getting bigger. And it's really just supporting those companies that are transparent, that are making change. And there's going to be a shift, whether they get eaten up by a bigger company or if the bigger companies, which we want, is say, okay, we need to be a little bit more transparent about what we're putting in our products and change, and seeing that, because there's a lot of just gross stuff out there, and people just don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad to hear it. And see it. I mean, because we're seeing change and things. It does happen rather slowly at times, but we are seeing it happen. And my last question is I know you from, prior to the show, and I'm actually a client of yours. So thank you so much for doing what you do and for connecting with Young Living. I do love the products. In fact, the Thieves Cleaner, I absolutely love. I love the smell of it, talking about smells, but I think that one's probably okay. I don't think that one falls under the whole fragrance discussion that we had.
Anything
right?
that made it smell in there is listed on the label.
Right, exactly. And I even got my bleach loving mom to start using and liking that too. So I'm super excited about that. But I was just wondering, do you have any specific personal stories, or maybe, stories from clients of yours or customers of yours that you've really seen a change like this benefit their lives, maybe from a health standpoint or from a happiness standpoint? Because I know it can.
So personally, and you don't really expect, I think the changes that happen, you're not really like seeking, they just kind of surprise you and you're not really looking out for them. But one thing that I noticed when I got rid of fragrance in our home was, and this took time, was when I went to the grocery store and walked down the laundry detergent aisle, the dish soap aisle is very fragrant, right? I got an instant headache. Like instant nausea, headache. And I was like, wow, like that never used to happen before. I mean, like my mom, like I said, she still uses fabric softener. Like when she comes over and she's around, I'm getting a headache because of whatever's coming off of her. So that was a surprise, because what the surprise was, wait a minute, I didn't used to get headaches when I was around all of this stuff. So what changed there? There must have been some type of detoxification that happened that made me aware of, okay, this is giving me a headache. It's making me nauseous. Now if we have to go in there to get sponges, that's the only thing I'm buying in that aisle. I'm like, everybody hold your breath. I run in there and grab it. And because
I do the same thing. I totally know what you mean. It makes my eyes water.
Yeah. There's something that happens. Right. And then a friend of mine, she has, she's got little kids. She has an autoimmune disorder, lupus, and she really had a surprise benefit from her. Oh, I see the chat little function. Okay. Ooh, yes, down to earth. That's a good one. Her experience was she started using like she switched over to the thieves cleaner in her house, and she was using some essential oils to support her systems. She switched over her all of her supplements to the Young Living version of supplements, and she started using some others, like Ningxia Red is I always forget, antioxidant, super high in antioxidants, which is our cleaner, right? We get that helps clean all of the free radicals like out of our bodies. And she realized that just in making those changes over, I don't know, time, it took time for her to even notice, was she lost like 40 pounds, and she wasn't making very many changes like in her diet. But what she also found as a side effect of losing weight was she had more energy, and she could go out and go hiking. And so that kind of led to, more of that more change, because she had more energy, so she could go around. And she was like, what happened? What did I do? People were asking her, and she's like, I don't know. She's like, I'm just taking care of my body, and I'm choosing which products to use. And she had an awesome just story from that. But I think what the biggest thing that people notice is people have like brain fog and just this like sluggish thing. And getting rid of fragrance it lifts it. It just kind of takes it away. I mean, we might get brain fog from other things because our bodies are so complex and amazing and beautifully made. But the removing of the fragrance can have a big effect, and it's different for every person. But for me, I noticed that fragrance really bothered me all of a sudden. And I didn't have that foggy feeling in my head as far as like being able to focus on things. And I didn't know it was a problem. I always love people, because I love this saying, you don't, like, I didn't know I didn't feel good until I felt way better.
Way better.
Like people don't know they feel bad.
Right. Or that they
feel like
even
better.
have brain fog. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they don't have it.
It's definitely a journey and enlightening, for sure. And it doesn't happen overnight, because our bodies have to get rid of it. But if we're not giving them the chance to get rid of it, you're not going to see very many, positive changes that way either.
Totally. I like what you said about the weight loss thing, and something that I had heard in my past, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that fat actually encapsulates toxins. And so you remove the toxins and it has an easier time to flush, basically. That's what I heard. So I don't know if that's the truth or not, but
dig into that. I know that I'm unsure about that. I do know that there are certain, I like to call them binders. Binders would be a good thing to take when, like, if you're going to go to a sauna session and you're going to sweat and you want those toxins to come out, and you want them to release. So if you're releasing toxins, you want them out, right? You don't want them recirculating and coming back in, because the toxins are held places. They're kept safe. Like our body are like, whoa, we don't want you here. I'm going to keep you safe here. But if they're released, now we need them out. And binders grab onto those and flush them out. And things like activated charcoal is a binder. It's not something that you would take every day, because it also grabs onto nutrients that your body needs. It binds onto everything. That's why activated charcoal is an awesome thing to get rid of stuff, right? But it's not something that you would take on a daily basis. There are companies that make binders that, and again, that's a whole other, I feel like that's a detox session, and there's people that know more about this topic than I do. But there's binders that you can take that aren't, they don't rob your body of other things. And I probably could find, I think I saw a list of certain ones, but binders are activated charcoal is the best example that I can give you because most people know what that is. And then they grab on and they help you get it out. I don't know about the fat thing though, but maybe.
Well, now I have to check it out because now I'm like, I got to fact check myself because I've always just like kind of thought this. I'm probably for like the last 10 years. I don't even know who told me. But now I have to fact check that. So, well, Kelly, thank you so much for being with us today. How can our listeners get in touch? I'm actually going to be putting the upcoming Stink watch party and all that in the show notes. But just real quick, how can people connect with you, chit chat with you? I know you're fantastic and you get back so quickly. So what's best for you?
Let's see, you can check out our website at ohlardy.com. We haven't been too busy there. We're both of us, my business partner, Tamara, and I, focus a lot on our Instagram and sharing content there. So you can find me at kelly.liston there. You can email me at kelly@ohlardy.com. Those are the two easiest ways to find me. Just direct message me on Instagram or just email me a question or anything.
Awesome, Kelly. You're the best. Thank you again so much for being with us. And ladies, what do we need everybody to do? Who can unmute
I need
first?
you to like our podcast and subscribe so that you can see all of our upcoming episodes when they
That darn silly internet. I think what Jeni said is that please. Oh, sorry. We lost you and now you're back. And now I'm not sure. Sorry, Jeni.
My internet is in and out. So I'm going to let Cheri or you take it over because I don't know when it's going to come back or back out.
Well, Jeni started us off. She said, make sure you subscribe, follow, and then also download our podcast. That way you can be sure to hit up all of the future episodes as well. But downloading is really important because that helps other mamas find us and learn about us as well. If you do not want to leave a 5-star review today, keep listening because you'll learn to love us. And then the only other thing, if we really like iTunes, but Jeni and all those other Android users out there that we still love, yes, Jeni, we still love you. They can use Google. What is it, Jeni?
Google Podcast.
Okay. So you heard it.
Awesome, ladies. Well, thank you again all so much. And to you too, Kelly, thank you for keeping us natural and healthy. I appreciate can't even talk. You know what I mean. I appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.